Hi, today I have a talk called Peace Shining. So the first statement is there isn't any form of agitation that doesn't have peace shining underneath. So it's about the calming down and the recognition. If, let's say, I'm in the middle of an experience of agitation, and if you watch yourself carefully throughout the day, you'll see these periods of agitation. And so somehow I've believed an ego thought and another ego thought, and it has given me the experience of agitation. The experience of agitation is built out of ego thoughts that I believed, and believing ego thoughts is always optional. So whenever I feel agitated, as much as it seems like it's caused by the actions of another person, or it's caused by the conditions of the world, or it's caused by the faults of a separate one I call myself, as much as I believe that, I am only believing thoughts the ego has sent me, and then my world reflects those thoughts. That's all the world does, it reflects. So I make the world I experience using the thoughts I believe. And the thoughts of spirit are gifts here for us to help us turn in the other direction or remember what's real here. So if I know agitation is just a state I made by believing thought after thought from the ego, I can always just turn around. I don't have to analyze it. I don't have to figure it out. And I don't have to find a cause for it in the world. I know what the cause is. I believed ego thoughts and I caused the experience of agitation. It's not real. It's an illusion. I caused the illusion of agitation. I'm treating it as if it's real. What's real? So the illusion is agitation. I made that by believing ego thoughts. What's real? Peace. Peace is always here. It's under any state I would make by believing ego thoughts. Peace is always here. So if I just turn back toward that peace, and the way I'm doing that today is remembering I am not a body, I am free, I am still as God created me. What did God create me in? Peace. I don't have to figure out, analyze, or interpret this world I made with ego thought. I just need to return to peace and rest there in openness and allow my thoughts to be supplied for me and not accept the thoughts ego is sending to me. And when I feel the agitation of doing that, turn back toward peace, which can give me any further thoughts I need. So there isn't any form of agitation that doesn't have peace shining underneath. Let's say I'm looking at someone I call else, and it seems they are agitated, and then I could also experience agitation. It would seem to be in response to their agitation. But if I look at them as my fellow being, and I know that they are peace, that is their nature, that's what they are, and the agitation is my projection of fear onto them. So I can witness my projection of fear onto them, or I could know I've projected fear onto them, and underneath is the real thing. The real thing is the peace they are right now. And the ego will really try to dissuade you from remembering this, because that's its job, to keep this false world going. It's just doing its job. And we just learned that we have to stop listening to it entirely. And so we do that. Okay, so there isn't any form of agitation that doesn't have peace shining underneath. Keep refocusing toward what is real. Your nourishment comes not from I think I put this down wrong. It says not from who would judge any surface, not from judging a surface, but from the peace that is always shining behind any surface. Not from how you would judge any surface. Okay, your nourishment comes not from how you would judge any surface, positively or negatively. This is a great house. This is a terrible house. My nourishment doesn't come from there. It comes from the peace that is always shining behind any surface. The peace is always here. And I learn to remember its presence and to rest in it. And to understand that resting in peace, thoughts can come to me that guide me. So I don't know what to do next, but resting in peace, thoughts can come to me that will guide me. There's this other sense of myself as a separate self, where I think, I know what to do, I have to stay in control, I have to protect myself. And this is the opportunity we get throughout the day for this sense of separate self to surface. And for the thoughts it is constructed out of to surface. I have to stay in control. I know what to do. If you can feel how those thoughts feel. And then set them aside. Take a walk on the wild side. Set the thought, I have to control this, aside. And rest in the peace that you are, and the peace that everyone is. And stay open and see where that takes you. If you need thought to guide you through and out of this experience, thought comes. And if all you do is practice resting in the peace for a second or two, that's enough, because that expands. We start, and then from where we start, that expands. So as I pay attention to the peace that is real, that is underneath every surface that I'm projecting out in fear, peace expands. And it will flow over the obstacles I tried to place in front of it. Like seeing you as agitated, there's an obstacle to hold it back. I understand I don't want to hold peace back anymore. I want to let peace have its way. Peace is real. The states and the illusions made by ego thoughts are not real, never have been real, never can be real. It's a powerful illusion made by a powerful mind. But the fact remains that the reality is still and always peace. So peace guides you on your way. You're having this experience of being a body in a storyline. And what now? Who's going to decide that future? Who's going to decide what you regard as your next move? Your next word, your next thought? Well, since you are peace and there is nothing but peace, or you could say you are love and there is nothing but love, you might as well put that in charge. And in any moment in which we notice a stress, a tension, a scrambling to plan, we have not done that. So now we practice. We practice going back into peace, resting in peace, resting in openness. And the more we practice, the easier it gets. The more we trust it. The more we remember, hey, I've got to go back down to the root, the radical in the sense of the root, the foundation, what I really am. And I need to rest there. And I need to find my willingness to allow how I see you to come from this root, the most radical, basic, fundamental thing, the peace we share. You can't share agitation. Agitation's projected from fear. But you always share peace, and that can never be taken away from anyone. It's underneath any surface you see when you're projecting from fear. And you and I, we can always extend love, allow the extension of the love that we are, by relaxing into peace and resting in it. So this is what we're learning now. If you see peace guiding you on your way, you see peace guiding everyone on their way, because you believe that peace is the most powerful thing there is, and you allow it to take over what you see. There is nothing more powerful than the peace of God. So the peace we share is the peace of God, the peace of reality, the peace of our Creator. And we have a powerful mind, which we can dedicate to ego in an illusion, but there's nothing more powerful than the peace of God. And we can just stop from all our very busy illusion making and acknowledge that and rest in it and trust it and say, I've made a crazy story here of time and space, and I don't know what I'm doing. I've been insane. But here's the peace of God. Here's the love my Creator has for everyone and everything. And I can trust that to take care of this story. I need to be led through and out of the story I've been making from insane thought. And here's the peace of God to do it. Thank goodness. As you allow ego's meaning and value to leave, out of all things you see as separate, God's shining peace becomes apparent. So the ego is going to tell you this, and the ego is going to tell you that about persons. Maybe it's going to try to idolize them and uphold them as especially positive. Maybe it's going to try to demonize them and squish them down below everybody as especially negative. These are how the illusions. So ego sends you thoughts, and the illusions are made out of the thoughts you believe, and you experience the illusions and you believe them to be real. Believing the illusions to be real doesn't make them real. So as you can see, I have been assigning separate meanings and separate values to all things I see, and I've been taking my cue from ego every single time. And now, I think I meant to say leach out of all things, drain out of all things. I can see the meaning and value ego has given every single thing I look at, if I'm idolizing or demonizing. And now I can allow all the meaning and value to drain out of all the things I see. But what remains? The peace of God shining behind everything. So I don't try to have to get my meaning out of the illusions I made using ego thought. All the meaning I need is here in God's shining peace, which becomes apparent when I let all the meaning and value ego has given something to drain out of it, and when I allow myself to remember God's shining peace. So when I don't feel good, it is always because I have believed ego, and I have picked out a separate thing like a person or situation or thing, and I have given it a special and separate meaning and value that something else does not have. I'm holding it up. I'm either idolizing or demonizing it. Holding it up as the cause of a feeling state of mind. This makes me feel good. This makes me feel not good. And I'm wrong. So when I'm angry or agitated or impatient, it's important to see I'm definitely wrong, and it's to my advantage that I'm wrong. Because when I recognize that I'm wrong, I can find the thought I'm believing and set it aside. In the language of the Course in Miracles, this thought I do not want, I choose instead. I am not a body, I am free, I'm still as God created me. Salvation of the world depends on me. It does depend on you, because you get to decide if you're going to believe ego thoughts, or if you're going to relax into the peace that's shining behind everyone and everything, and allow Spirit to supply all your thoughts, and therefore all your experiences. So it's always up to us. And every day is for practice. And every day, peace is still shining within everyone you think of, as their true nature, within everyone you see, within everything you think of, situation, concept, thing, within everything you see. It's the most real thing about it. And if you find yourself uncomfortable for any reason, It's a helpful signal. It's a helpful signal for me that I believed an ego thought, and probably many of them. And I can stop to remember, in reality, there's only peace shining here, but I've imagined something on top of that. I've attached to fear, which is itself a pretend state, a powerful illusion of the mind. I've projected that powerful illusion of the mind outward, and that's what I'm experiencing. But behind it, here in the heart of all of us, is the peace of God. That's what's real. So I cleave unto that. I see myself and you as that, not as whatever the ego's cooking up as an ideal, or as a way to demonize, as a way to see you good or bad. The true nature of everything is goodness without opposite, and if it appears otherwise, we know we're caught up in the dream of ego, which we wanted. It came because we wanted it. But when we're done playing with children's toys, as I think Jesus says in the Bible, we set them aside. The time for that is done. And we remember we just made a powerful illusion with our powerful shared mind. And we can stop now. We don't have to continue anymore. Okay. So wishing you well today, and seeing the peace of God in you shining. Happy healing.